Hi, everyone. This is Joe Dellicarpini, meteorologist and Science and Operations Officer at the National Weather Service's Boston office, here to talk to you about the winter in review and also the outlook as we head into spring. So, starting off with a review of our winter temperatures, what we're looking at here is daily listing through the winter for Boston's Logan Airport, which has a pretty long climatological record going back to the late 1800s for the city of Boston. Notice temperatures were slightly below normal. The winter average temperature was 31.6 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about a degree below the average. On the chart, you can see those blue bars indicating the daily high and low temperatures. And starting off in the winter, we had several that were above normal, and then getting later in the winter, kind of near or below. And just for reference, the pink curve are the record high temperatures, the blue curve are the record lows, and the band in the middle is the average temperature. You can also see from a calendar perspective each day's departure from normal for December, January, and February. There's more blues in there actually than the reds, but there certainly were some warm days in December, on New Year's Day, and also again in the last week of February. Now, if we look at precipitation, this includes rain and melted snow. Totals were near to somewhat below normal. For Boston, it was about 6 hundredths of an inch below the average. And here in Norwood, a little bit more of a departure, about 0.37 inches below the normal. So you can see for Boston's precipitation, the green curve is the actual day to day totals being accumulated through the winter months of December, January, and February. And the normal curve is indicated by the brown line. And again, looking at a calendar view, you can see the days that there was measurable precipitation. Most notable here in the second week of December, we had a pretty big rainstorm, but you can see throughout the winter there were some fairly dry periods, especially in January and to a lesser degree in February. Now, snowfall probably is no surprise. That was well below average, with only 28.1 inches in Boston, which is a little over 21 inches below the normal. Here in Norwood, we had 24.7 inches of snow, which is about 31.4 inches below the normal. And similar to the precipitation curve, you can see the summation of snowfall through the winter for Boston, and that's all well below our normal curve here, as indicated by the brown line. Just looking at some past winters here in Norwood to get a better sense of snowfall over the past number of years, you can see all the totals are here in the blue bars. Going back to the winter of 2009 to 2010, you can see our maximum was the 97-inch snowfall, which was the winter of 2014 and early 2015. Most of that fell in about a 6 week period from late January through the 1st of March. But on average, we're about 56 inches, and you can see there were many winters that were actually above average through the 2010s. Um, Recently, though, our departures have been a little bit below normal, as indicated by the red bars. You can see the past few winters have certainly been below average, and even a number of them going back into the 2010s. So, key here is it's certainly variable from year to year. But recently, we've seen a lot less snow than we did, say, in the 2010s. So, what do we have for the upcoming spring? Well, over the winter, we like to talk a lot about La Nina, and we had a weak La Nina this past winter, as indicated here at the minus zero point 0.5 line. That's a weak La Nina. Now, notice as we head out in time, our computer model projections are showing the La Nina to weaken, maybe go a little bit more toward that zero line, which is the neutral territory. So, for the summer months of June, July, and August, there's some variation, but either we'll see a persistence of the weak La Nina or kind of a neutral pattern developing. And really, it doesn't have much of an impact over the summer, except for the Atlantic hurricane season. La Nina years tend to favor more activity. The El Nino years favor less activity. So it's certainly possible that we could have another active season coming up for the Atlantic hurricane season this year. But we'll take a closer look at that when the outlooks come out in the latter part of May. So, over the next few weeks and months, what can we expect? Well, there's really no clear signal as we head through the end of April into the first part of May as far as temperatures or precipitation is concerned. But we kind of think for the next week or so, we're going to see this continuation of a few cool, wet, kind of rainy, drizzly days, mixed in with maybe some dry and milder days. So, there'll probably be a lot of variation day to day. But overall, a typical spring pattern for us are these kind of cloudy, damp, chilly days interspersed with the warmer ones. So we think that's going to continue at least for the next couple of weeks and perhaps into the first part of May. And from there, it looks like we may trend a little bit warmer for the rest of the spring going into May and June. Our odds are favoring above normal temperatures here in much of the eastern United States, in fact. But there's really no clear signal for above or below normal precipitation. So we'll just have to see how that pans out. And then taking a closer look a little farther ahead for the summer, June, July, and August, odds are pretty much favoring above normal temperatures again. And now there's a little bit more of a signal for above average precipitation, whether that's from our showers and thunderstorms, we get into a wet pattern from that, or maybe even some tropical activity. We'll have to kind of see how that season goes along. That tends to be a little bit later in the summer, more toward August. But for now, odds are favoring kind of a warm and overall wet summer. But keep in mind, that's over a 90-day stretch, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be hot and rainy or thunderstorms every single day. Just the odds kind of favor both of those above normal temperatures and precipitation. So, in summary, our winter featured some slightly below normal temperatures, which was a change. We haven't seen that in several years. The precipitation was near to somewhat below normal, and our snowfall was well below normal for about the third year in a row. Going into spring, we think we'll eventually see above normal temperatures that might be more in the May June timeframe or the May timeframe, and really no clear signal for above or below normal precipitation. And as I mentioned, our early outlook for the summer is calling for odds favoring above normal temperatures and precipitation. And perhaps the tropics get a little bit active in the Atlantic, especially toward the end of the summer. So stay tuned for more information on that. Hope you've enjoyed this quick review of our past winter and the outlook as we head into the spring and the summer. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at the email address there. Otherwise, thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.